There we go. Okay. So today's topic is how to tell your leadership story. But it's not just how to tell it externally, it's how to tell it to yourself so that you resonate better. We're going to talk about what signal are you sending to the market? And we're going to break out that market into various stages. So this is going to be a little different. I'm going to pull on from different presentations and we're going to go a bit deeper. This is the first of our summer leadership series. And let's just get some of the logistics out of the way. If I haven't met you, I'd like to welcome you to our community. My name is Shelley. I know it's spelled a little differently. My company is Best You Talent Advisors. We do two things. We are fractional recruiters. We are currently working with a space business, with fintech company, with women's health. Our focus is really about relationships, white glove service, communication, etc. I am also a executive leadership coach, certified. I do it in two languages, English and Spanish. I have coached over 300 individuals over the past 6 years, and they have earned over $11 million in promotions, advancements, total compensation increases, more equity, but much more importantly, they're sleeping better. They are feeling better. They have more confidence because when you are in a job search or when you are worried about what stakeholders think of you and you're in a role and you're not getting that next opportunity, you're not being remembered for something, you're highly, highly capable, yet your signaling is not landing you where you need to go. That's what we're going to talk about today. My team is Adrienne O'Rourke. Adrienne is with us today. She's been with me for the past year. She is my event manager and operations guru. She is a recruiter. She's doing a contract with a large zoological entity in the Denver area. She's got change management, and she's been such a huge help to really get all of our events. Also on my team is Brendan Burke. Brendan just graduated from Nova Southeastern University. He is a new grad. He landed a new role last week. He started last week at Robinhood. And also new to my team, first time here is Elizabeth Morris. She is a fractional chief of staff. She is going to be helping me with workflows and business development and things like that. So thank you to my staff for all that they do. I wanted to show this right now. This is the first in a leadership series. We're going to be holding them every 2 weeks. For 1 hour from 11:30 to 12:30. Our next event that is live now is why great executives struggle in interviews. What are those blind spots that you have? We're going to talk a little bit today about CAR and STAR, and that's part of your leadership story. So I'm going to get you started on those things. And then on August 5th, we're going to continue with what is your leadership profile? Really strengthening your interviews and your executive presence, because I'm working with about 13 executives right now, founders, SVPs, directors, new grads. And the reason that we chose these 3 series is because how do you be the person they remember? How do you be not the silver candidate or the bridesmaid any longer? How do you get that interview? How do you communicate all of these things? And so we're gonna talk not just about tactical things. We tend to get really real here. We hope that you will shift, pivot in some way, because I know how hard the market is right now. So please, Adrienne, if you could put the links for those so people can sign up, we'd love to have you. And this is purposely over the summer because a lot of people go on vacation. Things tend to slow down a little bit. We want you to have as much time with us as possible. And we also have a YouTube page. So this is being recorded. It will go out to our YouTube page. The YouTube page is for everyone, Adrian, if you want to put our YouTube page out there as well. For the past 3.5 years, almost 4 years, we again have helped over 6,000 people. We've got every possible job search topic that you can think of. How to gamify your interview. How do you use Enneagram? How do you build your brand better? How do you build a resume? What are, et cetera, right? To networking, to behind the recruitment curtain. This is our signature premiere series where I bring three other recruiters, including me, and we talk about market, what's going on in the market, what are we seeing, how are we doing that. I'm actually going to be presenting also at CareerCon, which is on July 25th. It's in Denver. It's through Second Act Women. We love allies joining us as well, so it's not just women in this group. This will be held at wherever it says on Park Hill Center. And we'd love to have you as well. I'm going to be talking about recruiter truths and why you don't get phone calls. A 40-minute workshop there. Lisa Carmen is joining. There are recruiters from Oracle. There is an AI workshop. So we'd love to invite you to that. So lots of things going on in the summer. Make sure that you sign up for whatever you can. We want to make this worth your time. So who's ready to get started? Okay, awesome. Let me get out of here and I'm going to stop the share for a minute. It's really nice to see everyone. It's been a while since we've been out there doing webinars. And you know why that is? It's because I've wanted to work in my business and I kind of lost myself for a little bit. I was just working in the business. And I was like, what are we doing? I want to get back with my community. So thanks for letting me be a little vulnerable with you. It's been about 4 or 5 months. And that's why I was like, we need to come back with a splash. And so it's nice to see familiar faces. It's nice to have this energy moving again. And now I'm working on my business. And that is why I wanted to get out there with you. I have a couple of you that have left me voice messages recently that it's hard out there, that it is mentally draining. And so no matter what you do, who you work with, there's always opportunities for you to move your energy. And I hope that you will do that. And so this is my invitation for you to do that. And I'm getting a little vulnerable because I'm just really glad to be back in the community with all of you. So welcome for sure. Okay. I am going to start. My first question to you is, what motivated you to come today? Write down in the chat, what was it about this webinar that caught your attention? What's the struggle on telling your leadership story? And while you're doing that, I'm going to pull up something else. Thank you, Vasu. Okay. No one's in the chat. We're going to have to change that. Am I going to have to take some when you have a dead battery, you put chargers on you? Like there's what I'm working on, positioning myself for the next steps. Thank you, Sarah. Being able to adapt my career story to different audiences. I love that. Thank you, John. That's awesome. Okay. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go into something that I have really, really been noticing. And I want to talk a lot about this next topic. Give me 1 second. Boom. Can you see this? It should be working in a minute.
Not yet. Got it.
There it is.
Okay. The first part of your story is really about mastering your signal. So what I'm going to give you right now is some new content that I have developed with another friend of mine who is a recruiter, and she's known as the $1 million CFO broker. She has pulled in $1 million a year. for brokering CFO deals at small, medium, and large size companies. We have built an AI assessment called the brand MRI. And so I'm going to go through that with you. And what we have noticed after testing this and piloting it with over 100 executives is that how you think you're signaling in your resume, the messages that you're sending, the LinkedIn that you have, how people remember you is getting lost in translation. How many of you have felt that? Okay, let's jump into that. Here's the truth. You're not broken. None of you are broken. You have more to offer. You've done work well above your title. But you're like, there's this stall, there's silence, there's interviews that don't convert. How many of you have felt that? Right? So the issue is not lack of capability. Take pictures, you guys. So I'm reiterating, all of you are very talented. That is why you are in this group. You know what to do, but your lack of clarity in how you're transmitting your story is just not hitting the mark somehow. So I want to hear from you right now. What is the biggest problem with telling your story? Let's look in the chat. What's the biggest problem that you have in telling your story? Then thank you for that. The headline and topic, I've been in getting final rounds, leadership attributes. Okay. What is the biggest problem in telling your story? It's too complex. Thank you, Sarah. What else? Adrian, really, thank you so much. Getting into your head and nervous. Um, because I work with Adrian, I know her stories around that. How many of you have been too nervous? It's too complex. You're not converting and you're not signaling in the way you want to. So then your confidence goes down. The way that you think about it goes down. Joe Lang, concision, probably. Never know what interview questions they're going to ask. Showing real wins. I made a leap from engineering leadership into leading cross-functional teams, and now my tech chops are seen as less than. Oh gosh. I'm going to focus on this one for a minute. AJ, I'm working with a tech unicorn from BAE Systems, and he moved into management. He was the same way. He wanted to signal his technical expertise and working on that. But then he got into management and he was signaling, I'm everybody's best friend. I'm a pleaser. So he went through this brand MRI and he started signaling much clearer on what he wanted to do. They made a role for him as a technical leader who manages large change management. So I want to get into some of this. 4 other answers here. Better in person than interviewing online. Okay, I've been involved in many vertical and some perceived at a Jean, lack of focus or commitment. Okay, so you're starting to think about, how am I signaling? What is the market getting from me, right? Sometimes my elevator pitch does not sound natural and too rehearsed. I get that too. I want to talk just a little bit about that because I could have come online with you today in my basement from Littleton, Colorado, and been like, here's what we're talking about today, and had no connection with you at all. But like, I'm a bit vulnerable today because this is our first one in like 5 months, and I'm just glad to be in the community, right? How does that signal to you? It's human, it's real. And just like you're signaling back to me, that's what we want. I want you to feel comfortable signaling what you're really feeling. Not sure where you're going wrong. No feedback. Okay, you're traveling some. Okay, cool. So now that we have this idea of, am I signaling right? Am I not signaling right? Is the market hearing me? Well, here's the opposite of that question. How are you hearing the market? How are you making sure that you are staying bleeding edge around how your skill set and background and education and credentials can meet the market. So I want to open it up to the group right now and just say, like, how are you meeting what the market is signaling? Instead of in the chat, I'd actually love some people to come on and answer that question. How are you meeting how the market is signaling? Two people. Are you learning new AI? Are you doing different workflows? Are you learning something new about manufacturing? Have you driven in one of, you haven't driven, have you ridden in one of those electric cars, right? So what are you doing different in the market? Who would like to volunteer that? It's hard for me to see people. Yes, Gina.
I am trying to learn AI, and I'm also
Awesome.
going through a project management course that I'm just trying to learn. So
Project management and AI. Who else is learning AI right now? Nice, Dave. Ben. That's great. Great, Chaz. Perfect. Okay. That's another question that as a recruiter, I'm going to want to interview you for is how are you upskilling? How are you changing? How are you looking at the market and getting the pain points of the market? And what is it in your background that's going to solve the pain points? I see some comments in chat. Python course. Awesome, Ray. That's great. AI is changing so fast. I know. I totally get it. Okay. I appreciate everybody's engagement so far. Okay. The market reflects your signal, not your intent, because I know everybody on this call is intending to do the right thing. So your intent and what the market actually experiences is your blind spot. And so through this MRI, we really figure out that blind spot. And I can give you story after story, like every single interaction, either someone on this call, we had a call like a week ago, and our signal was strengthened because she was so real. And my signal was real to you, not weakened by the topic, right? So are you posting something that is signaling to the market how you fix it, right? So with this idea, I want to know what frustrates you most about telling your story. What frustrates you most about telling your story? Ben, thank you. Numerous companies have informed me they're looking for someone who can live in Hollywood. Okay, we'll talk about that. That's awesome. Thank you. Speaking to AI in a one-way conversation. I see Elizabeth shaking her head there for sure. That can be scary, right? So what I meant by that is what frustrates you the most about telling your story? No one's listening. I'm not great at tailoring my story to the audience quickly. My nightmare, it's very hard, right? So do you have a resume problem? Is that your signal issue? Do you have a LinkedIn issue? Do you have a reputation issue? Do your referrals know exactly what problem you solve? Who's out there sponsoring you? Let me give you an example. I'm in this invite only executive group, and I'm one of the leadership coaches. And one of the people, she's a CFO. She's on a board up in Boulder. And the board executive director was like, I need an executive coach who speaks Spanish. She's like, I know exactly who to put you in touch with. Those type of requests come up all the time. Are others sponsoring you? So you are the leader. So my signal, she recommended me for that example. So my signal to that executive director arrived 3 days before I even knew about the opportunity, right? My signal arrived to you in your inbox somehow. So how are you with the signal? So we're going to talk through how you're signaling with your branding, how you're signaling in your interactions, your networking, your interviews, etc. So how many of you have had this opportunity? Or raise your hand if you're qualified, but you haven't had any interviews. Or you get told that you are so impressive, but then you hear crickets. Or you have LinkedIn views, but then they go into the black hole. There's no conversations, right? So you're signaling something, but are you signaling what the companies want? So if you haven't learned anything today, the question is what is your biggest problem in storytelling? What frustrates you most? And then how are you signaling? So I hope that those questions have got your mind thinking, because we're going to start digging into some of this stuff. How are we doing? You guys with me? Okay. This next slide is like, I usually hear, Shelly, my resume is not good enough, or does my LinkedIn look optimized? Or I don't think I network well. I'm an introvert. I can't network, or how many of you hate networking? And if you love networking, I'd love to see, what do you love about networking?
I don't hate networking, but I wish that it could be a little bit more authentic because I feel like a lot of networking events, they stay right on the surface, right? And that to me is, I'm relatively introverted, but I do like people, but I like to actually have conversations in which real connection.
Who would agree with that? That real connection. And after 2020, that is what everyone in the world was missing. If they were working remotely, they didn't have connection. And so now with AI, the connections weaken. They're talking about that nightmare. The connection gets weaker.
We kind of forgot how, right?
Right. People forgot how.
Totally.
So that's what we do. And whoever you work with, you've got to signal that exactly what you help do. If it's an interview, Adrian, would you mind sharing a little bit what you shared earlier in that the interview problem that you had, like you got in your head a little bit too much? You want to just share one of those stories?
Yeah, I've been looking for a job for a long time, so over a year, and I've been in many interview processes, and I think I also got in my head that the market is so competitive. So comparing myself to other candidates, and I think I'm getting interviews. It's just because I've been rejected so many times, I think I kind of get too much in my head, and that prevents me from showing up as my true, authentic self.
Who can relate to that? You get in your head, you don't have the confidence, you know that you are perfect for that role, but somebody else got it. All of those things. So it's not an easy answer. So the pathology here is if you are unclear or you are not aligning messaging in your digital footprint with your resume, your digital footprint, your connections, and in your interview, because people look at all of those. As a recruiter, I look at recommendations on LinkedIn. I want to know that the verbs you're using are aligned with what I'm hearing and what I'm writing down, that you're telling me that you are. So what all we're doing here is really trying to align what is the market looking at right now, and then how do we diagnose it a little bit better? And so how many of you are already thinking about signal problems that you're wanting to fix? Okay. So what's the cost of this? You're not just losing jobs that you applied for. You're not just not getting interviews. Referrals are not happening. Unspoken board seats, sponsor conversations. Like, who are the 13 people in your network that know your signal, that know your message, that know exactly what you do so that you can have name gravity? We're going to talk about name gravity in just a minute. What creates name gravity? Because when you don't have name gravity, let's talk a little bit about what that means. The invisible gap that we have found is that you know that you're highly capable. You also know that there's a lot of plug and play candidates in the market. And when you are feeling insecure, you're not confident, your message is not clear, you're not positioning yourself well, you are not presenting well. Like the whole game of telephone, the market is not hearing you correctly. I think we have made that point. So several of you have stated, I've done so many things, I don't know where to start, or I don't know how to best give this message to the market. So there's 4 ways that pathologies really that scramble executive signals. And so let's first look at position compression. Jean, you're in laboratories, right? Now, I haven't talked to Jean in like a year or more, or like maybe 7 months. So I'm just going off my memory. Are you in laboratories?
I'm in risk management.
Risk management. Okay. I thought he was in laboratories. So that's my own thing. I'm working with a client right now. Her name is Lisa. She is a national accounts director for a major healthcare company. She signals that she is national accounts, yet the market is looking for somebody that can scale transformation in highly regulated markets. So we're changing and pivoting her signal. Do people know what you do? Is there trust transfer? This is probably the most important pathology, the most important piece. Before you can get to name gravity, people have to trust you personally and professionally, just like you're trusting me to spend time with me today, right? Can people explain to a third party? This is probably one of the most important things I'm going to talk about today. Most of your roles are in the hidden job market, and they're going to be found through second tier networks or connections, not those that you're most comfortable with, but those that they know. Who do they know? Right? And who can your current folks recommend you to? Do they have the language to introduce you? Do they know how to explain what you do to a third party? That goes to explainability and then sponsor precisions. Going back to the nonprofit in Boulder, the executive director's like, I need a leadership coach who speaks Spanish. The head of the board was like, I know exactly who to introduce you to. So she introduced me. I sent over her bio, and now I'm talking to the ED about several coaching opportunities, right? That's what sponsorship means. So how many of you have sponsors out there that sponsor you and know exactly how to provide messaging on what you do? That's what we're going for. That is one of the main channels or go-to-market strategies that you can use in order to get yourself in front of people faster. Is this all making sense? Okay, Bridget, you have a question? Bridget raised her hand, so I'm not sure if she has a question.
No, I'm
Okay.
sorry. That was a mistake. I'm sorry.
Okay, we're
I
going
don't
to
have
define name gravity in a minute, Vasu. Okay, so what do each of these pathologies look like for you? Is it positioning compression? What does it look like? How do you recognize it? And then how do you fix it? I want you all to take a photo of this and I want you to think about these pathologies that are critical. Does that person trust you enough? And can they explain exactly what you do so that you are the one? Let me give you an example. Adrian and I are in a collective together, and one of the members was looking for a contractor for a position. Within an hour, Adrian, this person had Adrian's name twice, through me and then through someone else, because Adrian had been out there. That's sponsorship precision, right? That's what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to define name gravity in just a minute. And if you think about it, if a decision maker cannot mentally picture you leading tomorrow, they're not going to choose you today, regardless of how smart you are. This is a really interesting concept that I've been playing with. I work with a lot of really smart leaders. Can you do the work? Do you know strategy? Do you know execution? Do you have the business acumen? Most of you are already past that because you've been there or you're working on it. Where you lose us as recruiters is your EQ. And what I mean by EQ is what's your emotional intelligence along with your intellect intelligence, your IQ and your EQ. Your IQ plus EQ has to be aligned. It's kind of like your head and your heart need to be aligned. So can you lead people? How do you collaborate? How do you build business influence? And really what I've been working with my clients on lately is your EQ is resonating in interviews, even though you don't think it is. How you relate to others. How classy are you in your thank you follow-ups? If you are feeling insecure, how does that come across in an interview? Or if you're too arrogant, or if you're too loosey-goosey, or whatever. All of these imposter syndrome and negative thoughts that we have, we try to hide them and mask them as we go into conversations. Think about the last time you had a networking conversation and you noticed something off, like that person is perfectly aligned on paper to do this role, but something felt off. How many of you have had that experience? Something just wasn't right. If you're getting that feeling and there's two people that are equal, the person that has the higher level EQ is the person they're going to choose. Because the recruiter or the sponsor or the person that's interviewing you, they have to trust you, and that's trust currency. Do you trust yourself? That's what we're going to talk about in a minute as well. Can I picture you here? Can I picture you being in my environment? So your interview really is, whether it's online, in person, video, whatever, it's really about the chemistry of IQ plus EQ and then trust. That's what we think about. That's what alignment is. That's what pivoting and being better in your interviews and telling your leadership story is all about. Because if you're talking and you're not connecting, let me give you another example. I was asked to find a CFO for a major law firm, national law firm, multi-million-dollar law firm. And the CEO was probably one of the smartest men I have ever met. But his EQ was horrible. That project didn't go great because I was bringing in candidates that were like, this feels off to me, Shelley. I don't want to work in this environment. I heard a story where he was I had a candidate tell me, I heard a story that his wife was giving birth and he was still on a phone with a client. Law. Would you want to work with someone like that? And so it did not go well. I found them the target candidate. This candidate had a new baby boy coming 2 weeks later. He's like, I will start on the 15th of August. And they said, no, we want you to start right away. He said, I will start right away, but when my child comes, I'm taking 2 weeks off to acclimate my wife and my new boy. No. EQ. You're looking for it in your culture. They're looking for it in you as a candidate, right? Ultimately, after that candidate, they said no. I walked away. I walked away from a very nice retainer because I'm like, this does not feel culturally correct. They signaled the wrong way. Make sense? So you are interviewing you're interviewing them for their IQ and their EQ, just like they're interviewing you for your IQ and your EQ. Okay. All right. People don't buy resumes, they buy certainty. Credibility plus consistency plus authenticity divided by risk currency. Take a photo of this. Do you, as an executive, are ultimately hired to reduce risk? Jean, you are in risk management, right? Elizabeth, you are in incubator, startup, risk management. Are anybody you're talking to is, do you have the credibility? Are you consistently out there and are you authentic? That's the EQ. How many of you thought that you were going to learn about EQ today as part of your leadership story? Right? It's got to be balanced. All right. The goal is not about visibility. It's about name gravity. Now, someone asked, what do I mean by name gravity? Who gets into the conversations before the jobs are posted? I'm in this group, invite only, very high level. There's jobs in there all the time that are not posted because the people in that group are trusted advisors. They are trusted resources. 2 of my current clients come from that group because they know me. They know I'm consistent. They know have great trust currency. Just like you, who do you go to buy your groceries? Someone that you trust. Who do you go to fix your car? Who do you call as a plumber? Right? This is Costco. Jay the plumber. Toyota. This is what I mean by name gravity. You having name, they think of your name first. The roles are created specifically for you. Just like my client from Ball Aerospace or BAE, he's a technical unicorn and he's great with people. They figured out a role specifically for him. But he had to go through, we did a whole mind map of his internal interviews. And then what signal was he giving in these internal interviews? And the signal started to change. I'm not just in management. I love technical and here's what I'm doing and here's how I can do that. But I also am really great with change management. They created a role. He had sponsors, right? So just like he did informational interviews and we built this whole mind map for him, how are you leveraging your mind map and how are you getting sponsors so that the market starts to chase you? That is name gravity. Now, here's where we get into the leadership triad. All of your identity. The strongest, most undeniable executive brands do not rely on just your head, your IQ, right? How many of us know the smartest person, but they cannot go to lunch and have a normal conversation? So when I talk about my framework about the head, that's the strategist. I'm always thinking about how do I really get into my business? But what happened really is that my heart started to miss you. I started to miss my community. And my soul was like, let's get back at it, right? So I hope that I have name gravity for anyone in transition or recruitment. How are you being strategic? What's your business look like? How are you connecting with others? Now, what takes you away from this is a whole different webinar. can I trust you? Do you have the emotional intelligence and executive presence? I'm working with this healthcare leader right now, and she just feels lost, you guys. She feels stuck. She feels like no one listens to her, that her voice is not heard. She feels that ageism is creating a chasm. How many of you can relate to that? Ageism or any of those things I talked about, whether you're online or not, that's your heart. And if your heart's not connected and your head's leading the way, there's not alignment and you know something's going on. Or if your soul is like, there's no purpose in what I'm doing. I can be authentic, and but it's not aligned to my values. You start thinking about the alignment of these three things. This is what I'm going to start talking about a lot more. And so I hope I am making you feel something. You came here thinking one thing, but I want you to leave feeling something different. If you feel lost or stuck or whatever, let's have a conversation. So, how does all of this activated, right? How are we doing on time? I got. All right. You have to really figure out how the market is seeing you. And once you get that, and if anybody's interested in doing that, we can have a conversation afterward. I have several clients that we've put through this market MRI or brand MRI, and it comes back with here's how you're titling yourself. Here's what your resume says. Here's how the market sees you. But here's what's going on in the market. And this is what you need to be signaling. So we start with how do you change your LinkedIn? How do you change your resume? One of my clients, he's been with me a month. He just got his first interview because he is signaling differently. He's a wine high level 3 sommelier. He's been in wine his whole life. His family is Chilean. They have land and built wineries in Napa Valley. He wants to get out of wine and he wants to go into luxury brands. So within a month, we changed his signaling. We changed how he's networking. And now he has his first interview that we're going to test it. So you can't just diagnose it. You need to really define it and then translate it into your LinkedIn, your bio. And then you have to test it. That's 4. How do you amplify your awesome? Right? How do you build that trust currency and build in that name gravity? The last part of that is how do you sustain that throughout your career? That's what my client at BAE Aerospace did. We had to diagnose what was going on first. And then he had to get into his mind to clarify who am I and what do I want to do? And that took a lot of work with that trifecta of head, heart, and soul. Then we had to translate that. And then he had to amplify that by doing informational interviews internally within BAE. And that now that he's in this new role, he's getting promoted. He's now on better projects. He has name gravity. And this is just one example. But it takes a process to sustain. All right. For those of you that are like, I need a new degree, I need to change my history, let's just start with what you've done. I'm not just a healthcare executive. We have to really signal the problems that you have solved. So, because it's jumbled in your head, it's jumbled in the market. If it's jumbled in your head, can you imagine how you're communicating that in the market? Okay. When your signal changes, literally everything changes. You start to get noticed. You don't need another certification. You don't need permission. And for all of my people out there who think they need permission to ask for help, you do not need permission from anyone, just yourself. You don't need to become someone else. You simply need your signal to be changed. So I'm going to stop that, Sharon. That's kind of some new content. I'd love to hear in the chat what resonated for you with that. We're going to jump into a bunch of other stuff in a moment as well, but I'd love to kind of hear, and there's only 6 people on camera. AJ, Ben, John, Ray, Sarah, Valerie, Vasu, and Yaya, if you guys can come on camera, I don't care if you're eating, like we're pretty laid back. I'd love some interaction. What resonated for all of you? The four pathologies. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Hi, Yaya. Nice to see you. Hi, Ben. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
sorry about I'm at work, but I was listening. I like the idea of how it all intersects in Venn diagram and name gravity. I've never heard that before, but it makes a lot of sense to me. I'm in chaplaincy, and I think like this interconnection between soul, heart, and mind is like really huge. So,
Thank you. I
um,
really appreciate
thank
that.
you. And
Yeah.
by the way, like if I'm here, I'll be on your mailing list because I think like I just saw this link
Perfect.
somewhere on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Thank you for this webinar. It's really
Yeah.
helpful.
You're welcome. I'm seeing trust currency. Yes. Nice. The four pathologies. You make a great point. What energy do you put out and others? I hope what else is resonating is that if you do not have alignment between your head and your heart and your soul, you're energetically vibing. And I'm getting a little woo-woo here. This is scientific. The signal's not coming across clear, right? I literally missed my community and I felt it in my heart. Therefore, what do? I signal differently. I'm going to start in it again, right? I'm glad that this is hitting for you. Okay. Now, what do we do about it? And how do we start to make these changes? And let's get a little tactical in execution. Yes? Okay. What questions do we have so far, if any?
Is that something that we have to verbalize or should we put it in the chat?
I'm going to move on to another presentation here. So, John, if you want to put it in the chat, I will answer that in just a second. Give me 1 minute. That is what I want to show. Yeah. Okay. It's hard for me as a speaker to speak for an hour and a half. That's why I like engagement. Just give me 1 second. Share. Share. Here we go. Okay, this next part of what we're jumping into is, and if none of you have used Notebook LM, it's lovely. So what I want to talk about now is crafting your narrative. Now, I am on a coaching bench for one of the top outplacement companies in the Midwest. Through them, I've had 5 clients, and in 6 months, 3 of them have landed. The average time right now is 7 months for executives to land. One of them who landed was a VP of HR out of Detroit, and he landed as the head of employee relations. I'm naming these things because not the same. He took a little bit of a pay cut, but it's different. He's now more involved in his church. He's now more involved with his daughter who's going into her freshman year at a very Ivy League high school, right? So what I'm saying here is just because you're not getting where you were, if you take something different, think about where you can be from a personal perspective. Okay. I want to move into how do you know your story, the room doesn't, right? So we've talked about all this name gravity, trust currency, high IQ and high EQ, or at least an alignment of it to be comfortable, to be yourself. How do you articulate that? How do you have more confidence with that? Now, confidence isn't just earned. Trust is not just earned. You have to have practice around being confident. I love speaking, right? This is very normal for me. Not everybody can say that. I have built that muscle through years of speaking, and this is my subject matter. But if you wanted me to speak on math or finance, that would not be my forte, right? My focus is you have to, just like you work out your muscles, you have to work out your mental muscles, your positive intelligence, your fitness of being confident with your story, the rules of what you want. Okay, here's the old way, resume versus the leadership brand. If you are spending hours and hours and hours on your resume and you expect AI spit out exactly what your resume should look like, as a recruiter, you are wasting your time. We want to see measurements, metrics, quantitative things. We want to, I know who your identity is. That's the top of the real estate in the resume. You're not going to focus your leadership story on, well, I did this and I did this and I did this. When I'm working with my clients, we get to a point where if I'm looking at their resume and I can ask the question, so what, to any bullet point, they know they're going to have to change it. If your resume sounds like a job description, I highly recommend CareerCon, Lisa Carmen. I've got 3 resume writers I can recommend to you. AI is not going to write your resume. And if it sounds like a job description, we have a problem. I think all of you know that by now. At least I hope you know that by now. We want to know your leadership identity, the problems you solve, the impact that you have, the metrics that you do, the ENPS scores, like the customer service scores, like anything that can be measured. That's what we want. But more than that, we want to know why people trust you to lead. It's not a list of past roles. It's a compelling future narrative. Now, I'm going to use narrative, career story, bio, brand, or whatever. There's a format to that. And one of you earlier said that if your elevator pitch is too rehearsed, the people are going to see right through it, right? When I'm training my clients, if their interview answers are longer than 90 seconds, they lose me. And they know, have me in their head, like no more than 90 seconds. And we're going to get into all of these areas. So take a snapshot of this. What is the output? Who are you? What format are you using? We talked about name gravity before. Impressions are everything. I mean, it's a lot of time for you to spend an hour and a half in our community today. Why did that resonate? One, because you trust me, because I have been there, done that. I am a recruiter, I'm a success, whatever, right? Your brand, is it aligned in your professional bio and your profile? Is it aligned online? If you have pictures from a party that you recently went to that nobody really cares about, does that align with your online presence? Now, I put out some pretty British humor types of things around ageism, and I had a post go viral where I had a picture of me going like this, and it said, maybe your recruitment process needs Botox more than my forehead. I got so many comments, not just from people over 40, but people under 30 that are like, reverse agent is real as well. So that presence, are you known as being a little bit like pushing the envelope on some stuff? I'm okay with that because that's my personality. Do your recommendations align with your impression, your interviews? All of this is what we're going to think of, right? And if you haven't thought about it this way, please take a picture, because the impression that people have, it's kind of like that slide I showed earlier, where you are the leader. Does your signal in the right way in all of these different arenas, right? That's what we're trying to provide. It's in the patterns. And this is a really good one. What do people consistently come to you for? I want you to take a minute and I want you to answer this question. I want you to journal. What do people consistently come to you for? There's some different ideas in this 9 block. Is it innovation? Is it solving complex problems? Is it driving growth? So I'm gonna put a timer on for 60 seconds, and I want to come back and I want to hear, what do people consistently come to you for? Starting now. 10 more seconds. Okay, let's come back. For those of you on camera or even off, I see that we have some really good comments and participation in the chat. I will be answering all those questions in just a minute. So I'd like 3 people to answer this question. What do people consistently come to you for? Who'd like to go first? Or I can volunteer people. I don't want to. What do people come to you for?
Hey, Shelley, it's Gina. I put it in
Hey,
the
Gina.
chat. General and complex employee questions, employee investigations, and operational. Well, you have operational excellence, but to improve the operations within the workforce, come to me for.
Gina, I've known Gina for like 3 years now, and I know that she is known for operational excellence. Her signal and her gravity, like she and I hadn't talked in what, 7, maybe 8 months.
Right.
I know that she worked in telecom for 20 plus years in operations, and then she got her degree or certification in HR, and she's also does financial things in the background. And employee relations.
And my signal's off. my signal's all, yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully after today, your signal will be back on.
Yep.
And leaning more into that. Okay, who else would like to share? AJ, leading through complexity, untangling a mess, ambiguity. Okay. Building systems that are approachable and scalable. Okay, good. Creating strong, trusting relationships. EQ. That is awesome. I would want to know how. How do you know that you build those? How have you built systems that are approachable and scalable? When have you done that? In your examples, I would want to hear, tell me about a system that you recently built. Ray, I'm very resourceful, fully aware of my latest marketing trends. Wonderful. Ask for my insight and advice on marketing tactics. Okay, cool. One of my current clients is the head of data analytics and market intelligence for like one of the top PR companies in the country. He got laid off and he's building a Substack and he's putting out there exactly what you're talking about on how, I mean, he worked with like Wingstop and Kentucky Fried Chicken and Burger King and like, etc. Right? Part of your signaling, Ray, could be about how are you posting on that? How are you letting people know? How are you getting sponsors so that people can get you into those rooms? And Ben, OE, organizational effectiveness, Ben?
No, I went under operational excellence.
Operational excellence. Okay. See, OE can, for me in HR, means organizational effectiveness. Thank you for that learning. Operational excellence, leading through change. Okay, my question there would be if you've led through change, are you pro-sci? Have you had change management? What do you do? Have you had PMP, right? Like that name gravity in those rooms. This is awesome. Okay. I said I was going to answer some questions in the chat. Jean, you asked earlier about how do you know how you can be signaling to the market. I have a brand MRI that my partner and I do. It is a full assessment. We call it the whole enchilada. And we do an entire assessment of your LinkedIn, your brand, what you're doing, how your IQ and your EQ are aligning. And then I coach you through it. It is not a free tool because it's so valuable to the community that we've built it for. But I wanted 5 coaches in the US that are using it, and my clients are finding huge success with it. So that you can talk to me about that afterward. Somebody else asked a question here. I'm sorry. Make a great point. Sorry. Okay, let's keep going because time is really tightening here. Let me go down here. Who's learning something today? Okay. So how do you extract all these core strengths, right? And no matter who you work with, no matter what YouTube or Coursera or whatever, they're going to ask you to write down 3 accomplishments you're most proud of. What do they have in common? This is your core theme. Okay, so this is all of you know this. I feel like I'm going back to Job Search 101. The way that you signal is that you start repeated strengths. Jean, yours might be risk management. Gina, yours is operational excellence and employee relations, without a doubt. Adrian, yours is HR holistically and true caring and compassion. Elizabeth, I'm still learning yours, right?
Yeah.
All of these things that you're building come into. Did I hear a question out there?
No, you're good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So this is how you build it. So what I'd like to do now is, Adrian, how many people do we have? 15.
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to do 3 groups of 4. And I want to do like a 9 minutes where people can start to practice their leadership. Who are you? What do you do best? What impact do you consistently create? You've already answered that. And where are you headed next? That's the question. Let me give you an example. I'm Shelley Johnson. I am an HR leader known for talent and heart, head, and soul executive coaching. I'm bilingual. I love working with BIPOC leaders, and I deeply believe in inclusivity. I have helped over 300 leaders gain promotions more than $11 million. And what I'm really excited about now is getting back into my community and providing leadership webinars, speaking out in the community, and also aligning with small to medium-sized businesses to expand their leadership. Okay, now you know more about me. I want you to get together with a group of 4 of you, 3 groups of 4, Adrian. Can you do that for me, Adrian?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to assign it right now.
Who are you? What do you do best? What impact do you have? And then where are you headed next? Everybody good with that? And for those of you who are not on camera, I hope that you can be involved because I'm going to be monitoring this. If you can deploy right now, Adrian, that would be awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Shipra, for the thumbs up. Nice, nice, nice. Okay.
And I'll broadcast the prompts again.
4, 4. Jean and Joy. I don't know a lot of these people. Vasu's not joined. Do you want to join room 3?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Join.
Welcome back, Gina. Welcome back, Ben. Hi, Sarah. Sarah, we should definitely chat about clinical product and strategy. That's really interesting. Where are you located?
I'm in the Bay Area.
Okay. Nice. Mm,
I have to take my video down for
no problem.
bandwidth, so
Okay.
don't do that.
Sounds good. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. How was that?
We had a great team. Everyone did it really well.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Okay. I always plan too much content. Really, what I want to share next is very tactical. It's CAR versus STAR, and it's the roadmap of how to get there. So I'm just going to share some slides quickly with you. If any of you would like to have a conversation about the brand MRI, about what signal that you're providing, Adrian, if you could provide my link to connect with me, I'm more than happy to do all of that. I'll make as many as this week as I can, but next week I'm going on vacation. So might be the week after. But my hope is that you have learned something today. Okay. How do you translate all of this, whether it's in an informational interview, an interview, a thank you letter, whether you're employed and you have to have better executive presence in telling your leadership story? CAR is something that the challenge, action, and result. One of my clients is an SVP at a financial institution, and executive presence is one of her areas of opportunity. And I have taught her to communicate through CAR or SBAR, situation, background, action, result. Within the past 6 weeks, she has stated, I feel that you're more collaborative. I love this better. I like how you're communicating your story. Her executive presence is going up. So that, therefore, what's happening? The trust currency is increasing with her peers, and her name gravity is getting better. She just got a whole new function reporting into her because the CEO has seen a nice pivot. That's what this can do for you, right? So take a screenshot. I'm not going to go into these a whole lot. What this talks about and what those accomplishments, you should have a database of your accomplishments. In that database, you can then use to put together your resume on this bullet point, this bullet point, this bullet point. If you're GTM and marketing or program management, or your product management, product marketing, whatever it might be, build a database so that you know your story, that it feels natural, and that it's much more confident. You also have to know your resume, because if I look at your resume as an executive recruiter, I'm going to say, tell me about this. And if you cannot leverage your high IQ and your EQ to be like, that was painful, right? And show some emotion and not be robotic. That's what we're looking for. So, this is how you prove your value, is exactly what have you done, right? I know a lot of you know this. So your content into either CAR, SBAR, what was going on. Now, when I'm teaching interviewing, I'm kind of known as the Mariano Rivera, or the closer of interviewing. If you can get by me, you can usually do pretty well in your interview. If you're missing what the situation was or how you're explaining something, I'm going to go, and any good recruiter is going to ask you to, well, what was the situation there? How did that go? Tell me about the results of what you had. What was your role in that? Every single time you want to shoot for the fences, aim for the fences to have a complete CAR or a complete SBAR or STAR. So here's another way we look at this, is tactical from a CAR perspective, like situation, task, detailed, process led. Here's best for when it's used. Please take a picture of this because I'm not spending a whole lot of time on it. CAR is best for like results led. And in my next webinar, we're going to talk more about this. Networking, pitches, executive summaries, where STAR or SBAR might be better for answering specific behavioral questions or complex. I hope you're taking photos of this. Here's your leadership story blueprint. The foundation is everything we talked about and how you signal. The framing is that 4-part what you just did in your breakout session. The last part is how do you deliver it? All of those pieces must connect. That's the outside strategy. The inside strategy is what we talked about with head, heart, and soul. So the helix of your success is that alignment in your internal story and how you feel, and then your external delivery. When you can combine and align and center those, that's when you're going to start more interviews, more connections. That trust, currency, and name gravity are really going to land. And then when you step into the room, this is actually something. So that's all the time we have. I can't believe this went so quickly. It went quickly for me. I hope it did for you too. I will be presenting live in person at CareerCon. Also, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. If you would like to talk about your brand, your signal, your story, your head, heart, and soul alignment, I am starting a group in August. And we have Lisa Carmen partnering with us where she's going to do resumes. We're going to talk. It's a 4-month group. It's kind of like anything I've done. Again, I was working in my business. Now I want to work on my business. And that means these presentations providing more accessibility. And so if I can help you, or if anyone can help you, I hope that this has triggered something, not just up here, but holistically within you. Thanks for spending time with me today. I'd love to meet with you one-on-one. And if not, take care of you, get out and move, go to things, and don't be on an island. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Shelley.
Thank you, Shelley.
It was
My
wonderful.
pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Can you send the link to sign up for the July 22nd discussion? You put it in
It's
there
just
earlier.
loading. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so you'll send it, you'll send this out. Typical. Make sure Elizabeth is on there so she can see. Are you guys connecting next week by any chance?
Okay. Monday or Tuesday. Yep.
Wow.
We have
Okay,
something
cool.
scheduled.
Okay. All right. How do you think that went?
Really great. Yeah. I think there's a lot of content, which is great.
A lot
And
of
I like
content.
the breakout rooms. I think if we had more time, for people to practice, 'cause we only got through 2 people.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So even there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's part of speaking is give them
But
enough
great
to be
job.
curious and then have them connect with you for more.
Mhm.
So I have to go because I'm
True.
back to back today. My husband's got a horrible headache. I got to go see
Okay.
how he's doing. Okay, hon. Thank you so much.
Okay. Talk to you soon. I'll
Talk to
send
you
out
later.
that
Bye.
email.
Thank you.
Bye.